understand it. You know, when you get older,
Sure.
you know, it's just as tough, but at least you can.
You can process it.
Yeah, I mean, if you, for instance, if you had, say, if you or your wife were dying and you had to tell your kids, they'd be really upset, but they wouldn't be like, you know, when you're 10 or 11 years old, that's the most scary thing in the world,
Yeah,
losing a parent.
especially around that age.
Mm-hmm. Remember, I was terrified to death that my dad was going to get killed in a plane crash when he would take off on his business trips because a friend of his had been killed in a plane crash.
Wow. Sure.
It was like there was real famous, infamous, two planes smashed into each other over New York City in 1960, killing all 500 people on board. And he was on board. Well, actually, one survived. One child survived. Fell out of the sky.
Wait a minute. I read that like this date in history type of thing.
1960. Little 5-year-old boy fell out of the sky 500 feet into the river. They fished him out of the river. He was all bruised up and out of the hospital in about a month. And he's still living to this day, as far as I know.
Well, you kind of wonder what kind of traumatic, life.
It's funny. They interviewed him years later, and he said, "Don't remember a thing about it. I blacked out. I was knocked out. The only thing I remember is waking up in the hospital with burns on my arm. He wasn't hurt. He had broken bones and he had a little burn on his arm, but it's a miracle that, and the kid was 5 years old, just a little kid.
Pliable, but obviously his parents.
Actually, his aunt, he was with his aunt, so his parents didn't die. His brothers and sisters, luckily, nobody in his family was with him except for his aunt.
Boy,
he was very lucky that none of his family died.
Yeah.
I knew another guy growing up as a kid from an extremely wealthy family in Belvedere, one of the wealthiest families in the Bay Area. Grandmother, grandfather, mother, father, 4 kids, 2 cousins, and an aunt and an uncle, all perished in the same. And one kid left, who did not fly on the plane, was left, and he inherited everything because everybody was wiped out. The entire family was like wiped out. He inherited everything, and the thing was, the kid totally fucked him up, and he became just a complete and total loser and lost all of his parents' fortune. Lost it all. Millions of dollars.
And, obviously there were
How did he do
there
it?
to help him.
How did he do it? How do you lose that kind of money?
You have people who go, do this, and entourage, and invest in this crazy thing. And
I guess when you have money, you have to be really careful with people who come to you. Like we're lucky we have this really good family advisor who's been part of our family, or part of my wife's family, for years. And his dad advised my wife's grandmother and my wife's parents, and he's advising us. So we've been very pleased with that. But some people don't have that. They get somebody who's not real savvy. Oh, I got a great thing. It's going to make you a huge amount of money. Oh, great.
Yeah, whenever it's like an impulse type buy, it rarely works out.
Always go conservative. That's one thing. I don't know much about the world finance, but I know one thing: go conservative.
Yeah, I mean, because even like the Facebook type thing, it's like I here today, gone tomorrow. Because the thing is, you go, oh, it went up from 20 to 50 or whatever, 100, but unless you get out and make a profit, at some point, I mean, if you invested in buggy whip companies, that used to be on the Dow Jones. We should probably give him a call if he's a real person.
I got one real quick one for you to kick out. Trump's latest thing, he got in a little trouble for this, but it's more of a funny thing. So there's a picture of him, he's got a very beautiful daughter. Have you ever seen his daughter? She's like Playboy material. She's standing next to her, he has his arm around her, and he says, her name is Ivanka, I guess? I mean, that's his wife's name. Well, anyway, he says, oh, she's not in Playboy, but she certainly is good enough to be in Playboy. But if she was in Playboy and they had a picture of her, people would probably think I'd be married to her. So of course, if I wasn't married to my wife, I'd probably be with somebody like her. He's such a character. He is such a dude.
He definitely makes for interesting politics.
He's very funny. I wonder if he's intentionally funny or he's just trying to be crazy.
Good point. I'd be nervous about him as a president. I don't think he'd make it anyway, just because of what the other leaders were.
I know.
Of course, Ronald Reagan was an actor, but he was a politician.
But he had so much help. He had so many smart people.
Yeah.
Oh, he sounds like he's in the industry. Well, we're a little early anyway, so.
3 o'clock or 2:30.
I told him to call. I'll just leave a message. I'll email him or I'll text him.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 650 zero
He's one of those guys
five
who doesn't answer his
seven
calls sometimes.
six
Gotcha.
1594 is not available. At the tone, please
Go ahead, leave
record
a
your
message.
message.
Oh,
If
okay,
finished
then we'll call
recording, you may
back.
hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi, Chris. This is Edward Brown along with Bruce McGowan, Sports Econ 101. Bruce said we should give you a call around 2:30 for your interview on our radio show. We'll call you back in a little bit. I think Bruce is going to send you a quick little text now. If you need to call me back, 415-451-6099, extension 102. Thank you. Bye.
That surprises me because he's usually pretty reliable. I think probably something, maybe he just doesn't. Some. Hey Chris, we just tried calling you, but you didn't answer. Did something come up? Please let us know ASAP. Okay. She should get that. Should get one of those two things, I would think. Huh?
If he's around looking at it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he 85 degrees out there with 80% humidity.
It feels very hot.
It's very humid. It's supposed to rain tonight.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Just a
Probably
just a light
something.
amount.
Probably.
Very, very light. Maybe just like a little sprinkle. Yeah, it is hard to believe Donald Trump right now is the Republican leader. I don't think that would hold, but you know, I mean, I think he's tapped into some very visceral feelings that some Americans have, and you know, some people don't think he's politically correct, but there's a lot of people out there who are pissed off right now. And
I think they're just tired of all
well, they're thinking either Bernie or him. You know, it's like 50% of America wants either Bernie, who's a socialist, or Trump, who's a businessman. You know, what does that say about the state of our country?
Yeah, really. A businessman who filed BK once before.
What we really need is a moderate, somebody in the middle who can kind of steer this country through the rough waters. But we never seem to go for moderates anymore. You know, I don't understand that.
That may be him.
Mm.
Whereas I don't know if it goes there and then comes here.
Oh, here he is.
That's what they did.
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Good. Oh, that's okay. Should we just call you right back on your number there? Good deal. We'll call you right back. Thanks. He's there. He stepped away for a few minutes. So just call that number. He should answer. God, I hope it's something like Andy Dolich. The other day, you know what happened? He sent me an email. His cell phone just crapped out.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I saw
And he was stuck in traffic too.
Yeah,
So he wants to do it, but he can't do it for 2 weeks.
That's fine.
It looks like Bob Myers will be available next week.
That's good. And Thursday, 2:30?
Yeah, Thursday,
That's
2:30.
when we're doing it, yeah. Very good. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. Yeah, it's Edward Brown along with Bruce McGowan.
Chris, how's it going, man?
It's going well, thank you, that.
Good. Hey, you guys have tell me if I'm wrong, you guys have, are you into the playoffs right now? I apologize if I'm not paying as close attention as I should. Is that coming up pretty soon, or has that already happened?
No, yeah, we have 9 games left in the season, and right now we're tied for the last spot.
Okay.
Playoffs.
So who would you probably play in the first round?
What?
Who would you probably play right now in the first round if the playoffs were to start today?
If it were to start today, I mean, we're tied for the last spot, so I think we would be playing Portland for a play-in game right now, but, you know, there's still 9 games left, so and there's only like 4 points between the top 6 spots. So
Oh, great.
No idea really who you're going to end up playing.
Yeah. So if you ended up tied with Portland right now with the Timbers, you guys would have a single game, an elimination game.
No, right now we're tied with Seattle, and there's tiebreakers that go into it, and, but we would play Portland if we did have the last spot.
And that would be in a 2 out of 3 series?
No, just a 2-game series, aggregate score.
How many teams are in the playoffs? Is it 4 or 8?
6.
Oh, 6. Okay. No, I was wrong on both counts. Okay. All right.
And do they do it on a typical win-loss? And then if it's, you know, if you have the same standings, then they start going into how many goals are scored?
Yeah, I mean, they do win-loss tie. So you get 3 points for a win, you get 1 point for a tie. So it's a point And then after that, they have tiebreakers, whether who has the most wins, goal differential, and then goals scored.
Cool. All right.
How many? And I'm sorry for my ignorance here. How many games in a season?
34 games.
Yeah, so that's why you can have a lot of teams that are really, tied from a win-loss standpoint. Like baseball, you got 162 games, and it's pretty easy to not be tied for that. Okay. Okay, so Chris, the way we do this is the first 2 minutes is just sort of an intro type situation where Bruce and I talk about who's going to be on, that sort of thing. Stay with us, and then what we'll do is we'll let the audience know. Yeah, when we come back in segment 2, we're going to have Chris Wondolowski with us. And I'll save the file, and then when I'll come back, we'll reintroduce you, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much again for being our guest.
Chris, I meant to ask you, have you ever done any soccer commentary on television during, times when you're not playing?
No, I haven't yet. Haven't done anything like that.
Is that something you'd like to do, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, always like to keep options open. I do enjoy the game, so that would be kind of fun.
I was going to say, you should, if you're interested in doing that, let me know, because I have a guy who probably could direct you to the right people. And
nice.
yeah, there's some good possibilities there. I don't know what possibilities, but it sounds like you've got the advantage of having the experience of playing the game and also a little bit of a name. So especially here in the Bay Area, maybe you could work for Comcast Sportsnet or something like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so here we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Today's show is going to be really extra special because this is the first time we've had a soccer guy on the show.
That's right. Chris Wondolowski is a local guy. We're, of course, in the Bay Area, so he's from the Bay Area, and he plays for one of the local teams, but he's going to talk a little bit about the MLS and about soccer in general and the just exploding popularity of this sport, how it's really captured the imagination of the American sporting public, but of course it's always been the number one sport in just about every other country.
Very good. Okay, and in each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question, and we're giving away vacations to the first email with the correct answer. Vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina. Those vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. Check them out at lighthouseresortandmarina.com. And by the way, we're all over the country here, so you can listen to Sports Econ 101 on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Sports Byline USA, and many other stations across the country. And today's trivia theme, now this is a little different here, gymnastics nicknames.
Ooh, I'm going to have to rely on Chris's expertise on this one, because I don't know.
maybe he'll know something about it.
There you go.
There's something when we'll talk a little bit later on in the subject in the show. I want to ask you, Bruce, about should RBIs count in MVP voting?
Definitely.
Really?
No
Okay.
question.
Yeah, but then you got to rely on your teammates.
That's true, but I mean, you
so,
still have to drive them home. That takes some doing.
That's true. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll have a little bit of conversation on that.
Maybe Chris will check in on that one too.
Okay.
I'm sure he's a baseball fan.
All right. When we come back, we're going to have Chris Wondolowski of soccer to San Jose Earthquakes.
That's right.
Team. All right. And this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding 8% secured by Bay Area real estate. That's San Francisco Bay Area real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us because you are listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. All right, so that's our first little segment. Let me save the file and then we'll introduce you, Chris.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
You down in the South Bay, Chris, or the East Bay?
I'm in the East Bay. We're living in San Ramon now.
Oh, nice, nice. And you went to school at De La Salle, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, cool.
Now, see, had I known we were going to have you on way earlier, I would have had soccer trivia, but we weren't sure who was coming on. So
That's my bad.
that's okay.
No worries.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe you'll know this anyway. Okay. Sometimes I ask hard questions because I got to keep Bruce entertained.
What did you do to your arm there, Ed?
It's weird. I had an age spot, and they did liquid nitrogen.
Oh, I've had
And so
that,
it just it's just hasn't. It's kind of.
When I was a kid, I had wart on my hand, and they had to burn it off with liquid nitrogen. It
Yeah.
was painful. Ouch.
Yeah, this one wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
It just kind of looks
Went
gnarly. Yeah.
like that. And
Well, that stuff's like 196 degrees below
I
zero.
know.
So
It stings.
I almost, when I was a kid taking chemistry, I almost stuck my finger in a
Oh.
vat of it because I go, oh, what's all this smoky stuff, you know?
Jeez.
Yeah, well, 6 years of high school, I finally got out of there. Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. And away we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, why don't you introduce our guest?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to bring on Chris Wondolowski, one of the bright stars of the Major Soccer League, or Major League Soccer, which, of course, people don't realize this. They think of Major League Soccer as, a relatively minor sport, and in some respects it is. But pro soccer in this country, I don't know if a lot of our listeners know this, and I don't even know if you know this, Edward, but Chris probably knows this, has been around in this country in some form since the mid-1960s. The old North American Soccer League actually was kind of an interesting league. It brought in a lot of big names from out of the area. I remember I covered the old Portland Timbers back in the 1970s and the Seattle Sounders in the 70s when they had guys, that were playing against people from the New York Cosmos like Giorgio Canaglia and, Karl-Heinz Granitza. There were some good players. So Chris is joining us right now. And Chris, that's the thing that intrigues me about your league is it's not like the Bundesliga in Germany. It's not like the Premier League in England. But it's a great training ground for not only American players, but for young players who might, have a shot to be on the radar of some of those big league teams over in Europe. And you got some pretty good crowds that show up at your games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we're definitely growing in attendance. I think it's continuing to grow. I believe last year we had the average attendance all across the league was about almost 30,000. I think it was 29,000 some change for each game, which is I think hockey. I think we passed hockey in attendance, and right there with basketball as well. So I think it really shows how far the league's come, and I think that the talent is and the skill level has definitely grown as well. And if I forget the exact number, but I believe we had over 50 MLS represented in the World Cup, and I think that just shows how far the league's coming.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How do you get to the World Cup? I mean, from MLS soccer, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to be called up to the national team, and I know that with the U.S. team we had over 12 guys that were that played in the Major League Soccer MLS, and we're in the World Cup down in Brazil. I know that other countries as well had representatives from MLS, including Honduras and Mexico, and there's a lot of good players all over. So it was fun to see.
Okay, so it's almost like an all-star team in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the national team is just the best players, so the United States national team just made up of players with, American citizenship, and it doesn't matter what league you play in, and you get called in, so he calls bench 23 guys in each time to represent the United States and with across the world.
Well, one of the things I'm impressed with, because I was looking at your bio here, Chris is 32 years old. I mean, it's one thing if you're 32 playing golf, but playing soccer, I mean, how old is the average person playing, let's say, on the Quakes?
Probably I would just say like late 20s. I'm definitely an older veteran now in the league, but I think you can make it about 35 and still be successful. But it definitely takes a toll on your body.
Now, Chris is also following the footsteps of Landon Donovan, who is, I believe, isn't Landon still playing in the MLS? Or is he now in the Premier League somewhere? I'm trying to keep track of it because he's moved around a little bit since he left you guys.
Yeah, he's moved around. He played in the MLS all his career. He had a couple stints in the Bundesliga and in the EPL for on loan, but he retired actually. He retired last year, so he's all done right now. But an absolute legend, and it was fun to get to know him and play with him.
I wonder, from a business perspective, do guys have to kind of do something a little crazy or wear their hair certain crazy, in order to, get the bigger contracts, kind of get known by the public?
I think that happens, but I think that, right now the league is at a place where we're just trying to, get the best product out there. So I don't think it really matters where your hair is or what you're doing, but I think that's kind of any sport. You kind of get some popularity. I know with basketball, like Birdman, and you have to make those nicknames and stuff. Same with questions, but you know, if you have crazy hair, I think you always get a little bit extra. You know, like a Dennis Rodman, get a little extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Dennis Rodman.
I mean, obviously, your
Yeah.
skill level is the most
Yeah.
important thing. To let your skill do your talking for you.
Right.
Hey, you know, I got to ask you, Chris. I mean, I know you would love to play, like any player would love to play to, say, for Barcelona or for Crystal City or one of these great teams in the European leagues. Is that kind of a goal of a player who plays in the MLS to get noticed and move up, or are you guys mostly just trying to build the league and hope that it's going to find a foothold more than even where it is today?
You know, I think it's a big balance. You know, I think everyone has aspirations to play the biggest leagues possible and play on the biggest platforms. And over in Europe it is, but it's not going to be fun to get work permits and stuff like that. And I think that in the big leagues, obviously in the English Premier League or La Liga in Spain or Bundesliga, they definitely have some big contracts. But you get to some other European countries, and some of the pay is very comparable right now. And so that's kind of where I am right now. And so I just kind of weigh out my options and enjoy living in California and being in my hometown. So especially I have a family now, so I've always kind of split out my options and found that I would be a lot happier staying here and trying to help grow the game.
Yeah, Chris Wondolowski from Major League Soccer joining us. He plays for the San Jose Earthquakes. Got to ask you a little bit about the number of foreigners that play in America in this American League. What percentage are there? And it seems like, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like there are a lot more Americans playing in your league than there were in the North American Soccer League, which I covered back in the 70s, where it was more like 80 to 90% foreigners. Now it's a much greater number of Americans.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's definitely a lot greater percentage of Americans now. I don't know the exact number. It's probably close to 50%. And somewhere around there. And I know that we have probably right around 50% with our guys. So I think it's great that it shows, I think, how far the American sport's gone, and you see it at the youth level and how many people are now playing the game, and I think that's important. And also understanding the game. I think they're getting the right coaching and the right skill sets.
And I'm going to guess that the salaries are not exactly comparable with some of the other professional sports.
But you're getting a decent paycheck, right, Chris? I mean, would you say your average it's your average worker in America would love to make the kind of money you guys are making, but it's not like you're making you're not making $12 million a year on the average.
Yeah, exactly. We're not making 7 figures, but I think the average mean last year was in the 6 figures, and so it's definitely it's fine, but yeah, I mean it's definitely not in the millions, but there's definitely some players that can make that right now. Some teams, but not all players.
Yeah, because you kind of think that it being the most popular sport in the world, and when you get to the World Cup's every 4 years, right? So you get these stands, you get fans in the stands, 100,000 people or whatever, and now Chris is saying that the average is about 30,000. But how much are Warrior games? About 20,000 to 30,000, right? Because
the Warriors average about 20,000. But of course, the tickets to a Warrior game, unfortunately, are a lot more difficult to get, a lot more expensive. What are the prices to go to, say, a Quakes game, Chris? Just on the average, a family of 4 wanted to go to a game. What kind of ticket prices would they be able to get?
Yeah, those are definitely a lot more affordable. You can probably get them. Depends on what seat you get, but probably ranges from about the $10 to $50 range. So yeah, somewhere around there. So I think it's a bit more affordable, but yeah.
Got to get the luxury boxes seats. Okay, we're in the studio on the phone actually with Chris Wondolowski from the San Jose Soccer Earthquakes. We're going to cut to our first commercial break here. Second commercial break. First trivia question. The theme is gymnastic names. The team of U.S. gymnastics made history by capturing the team gold at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics over the favored Russian team. What was the team often referred to after those history-making games? All right? The first email with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email edward@sportsecon101.com the answer to this question. This team of U.S. gymnastics, gymnasts, let me try that again. This team of U.S. gymnasts made history by capturing the team gold at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics over the favored Russian team. What was this team often referred to after those history-making games? Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back.
Jay, you're asking a question about something that happened 19 years ago? What do you think? I'm some kind of historian?
Yeah. Jack, if I ask him baseball from the 1930s, he gets
I
it right
got
away.
that one, Chris. But when it comes to something that happened 19 years ago, I can't remember.
Oh, it's too soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember lineups of baseball teams like for the Giants in the 1960s. But you mentioned who's playing second base today for the Chicago Cubs. I couldn't tell you. It's funny how your brain works.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Yeah, so
Appreciate you hanging in there with us.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
be
just
right
going to
back here.
saving the file here.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
God, it's hot outside. I was up on a Mount Tam on a hike today, Chris. It was 85 degrees with 88% humidity.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
definitely.
It's not a good day to be out today.
In fact, yeah, I can ask him about that actually.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. When we cut to this commercial break, we asked this trivia question. This team of gymnasts, U.S. gymnasts, made history by capturing the team gold at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics over the favored Russian team. What was this team often referred to after those history-making games?
Have absolutely
No clue.
clueless. Chris, do you know what the answer to that is? You want to take a stab at it?
I don't remember. I remember Case Shrug off the pommel horse, but to win it. But I don't remember
The name, the nickname? It was a famous movie also. Magnificent Seven.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
The Magnificent Seven, which starred Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen,
That's right.
Charles Bronson, James Coburn,
There you
Robert Vaughn,
Yeah, see, you got them all.
Horace Buchholz, and who was the seventh guy? Brad Dexler. And Eli Wallach was the bad guy.
Oh yeah, he's always the bad guy.
He had a great line in that movie. He goes, "You came back to a place like this? Why?" And then he dies. Yul Brynner just looks at him. You'll never understand. It's funny. All those guys, the Magnificent Seven, they're all gone now, except for I think there's one of them. Robert Vaughn is still alive,
Yeah.
but three of them were foreign. Yul Brynner was from Switzerland.
Robert Vaughn.
Robert Vaughn is actually born in Canada. And there was one other guy. Eli Wallach, of course, is not Mexican. Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent. Chris is he's sitting on the phone listening to this going, what in the heck does this have to do with soccer? I don't know, Chris. I guess it has to do with soccer because we're talking about the foreign influence of soccer. And here's the thing about American soccer. American soccer has roots that go back a long ways, Chris. I mean, people don't realize this, but there were people playing maybe major soccer leagues, but playing Olympic soccer back in the 1930s in this country.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it definitely has a very rich history, and that continues to grow. And that's what makes it special.
And it's fun, of course, going to the games. As I mentioned before, I was lucky enough to cover in '79 the team in Portland, in '80 the team in Seattle, and in '81 New York, which still had at the time Pelé, who was just an absolute gentleman, by the way. And, he had some health problems recently, but apparently he's okay. He's about 77. Have you ever had a chance to see, not see play, because you're a little too young for that, but do you ever have a chance to meet him?
I have not. I've not been able to meet him. I've always been a big fan, and he's, obviously, I think one of the best players ever. So, yeah, that'd be an absolute honor.
Who were the guys that you grew up kind of idolizing? Was Beckham one of them, or were there other guys a little bit older?
Kyle Rowe Jr., right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think Jurgen Klinsmann was a big one. Johan Cruyff for me. Ruben Nistelrooy. There's a few other ones. Diego Maradona, I thought was always very talented. A little crazy, but also very talented as well. So those were kind of my guys that I followed.
But Maradona had some problems, didn't he? I remember he was coaching, I think, one of the national teams down in South America. Didn't he get into some kind of trouble for some comments he made or some kind of action he took?
Yeah, he's a bit of a firecracker. Kind of says there's no being politically correct with that guy. I think he just kind of says what he's thinking, and right or wrong, you can agree or disagree. But yeah, that was kind of his undoing. He was the Argentinian national team coach.
There you go, the Donald Trump of soccer. There you go.
Don't insult Donald Trump. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was thinking of watching soccer not too long ago, and the flopping that's going on now. You never used to see that years ago. And it seems like it's a strategy. It's like part of the game now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that hopefully is starting to crack down on is the flopping because I'm not a big fan of it. But yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some parts of the country it could be a bit of a strategy where you can try to get some set pieces and try to just collect fouls and just kind of embellish the contact. I think they're starting to crack down a little bit more on fouls and things like that, and I think that's one of the reasons why the flopping has gotten bad. But I think they've done a good job as of lately in trying to crack down on all the flopping.
Chris?
Probably give them acting lessons before it's like some of these kids, they're playing soccer before they can even walk practically.
Well, you probably grew up playing soccer from the time you were practically able to walk, right, Chris? I mean, you're one of those kids that just loved to gravitate to the game almost instantly.
Yeah, definitely. I grew up playing all sports and loved playing them all. Whatever season it was in was my favorite sport, but soccer was definitely one of them. My dad played at UC Berkeley, and so I think definitely was able to teach me the game a little bit quicker. So that was one of the reasons why I think I really did enjoy it as well.
Got to ask you about the MLS and some of the guys that we may, your average fan might have heard their name, but maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the stars of the league and who are players that are up and coming that we should kind of keep an eye on and we're going to hear more about.
Well, Michael Bradley right now, he's the captain for the U.S. national team. He plays up in Toronto. He's a extremely good player. Played over in the Italian league, Serie A. He's played in Bundesliga, been in EPL for a little bit. He's definitely a very good player. He's one of them. Again, Josie Altidore, another U.S. player, striker. Then Pirlo, he played he played for the Italian national team. He's won a World Cup. He played for Juventus for many years, and he just came over to the league. We have David Villa, who played for Barcelona, played for Atletico Madrid. He's played all over. He's also won the World Cup with Spain. He's over in New York right now. And then you have like Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard, who's spent most of the years, or all of the years in the English Premier League, playing for likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, and Steven Gerrard's won Champions Leagues and cups, and same with Frank Lampard as well. So they're now over in the league as well.
I was going to ask you, Chris, being 32, how many more years do you think you can play, and what's on the horizon for you after soccer?
I'm hoping if I reach 35, I think that's a very successful career, and I think that's my ultimate goal right now. It's always really down there, but right now I'm just kind of have the attitude where as long as I'm healthy and enjoying going out there every day, I'm going to do it. And I definitely at that point right now where I love every minute of it, and I'm really healthy, and so I do love the game, and so I would love to stay involved somehow, some way, whether it's involved in coaching or club, maybe something in the club aspect of that. Or commentating or doing something along those lines with soccer because I really do enjoy and love the game.
Got to ask you a little bit about the cities that are really popular that really follow the teams closely. I know San Jose, you mentioned they have their own little stadium. They fill it up every night. Seattle, I know, has been a very successful franchise over the years in terms of popularity. Portland, you mentioned them earlier. New York. Are there certain cities though, Chris, that are really, sort of the premier franchises of your league that are always going to be there, that are always going to be solid?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, again, along the Northwest right now, I think with us getting a new stadium, I think that we can definitely be in the mix of things. Our hold's about 20,000. We fill it every time right now, and so it's nice to have that new stadium. It's a beautiful one right by the airport, but Seattle and Portland and Vancouver right now are kind of the cream of the crop right now where they're, sometimes 40, 50, 60,000. Seattle is filling Century Link when they open it all up, and otherwise they usually get about 40,000. And so that's Seattle right now is definitely, I think, gets the most popular ones. Portland has a 30,000 seat stadium that they fill every time as well. And so I think that those are kind of the two best ones right now.
How's the New York franchise doing? Are they still in operation? I'm trying to remember. I know back in the day when they were the Cosmos, they were extremely popular. But what's the latest on them?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, so they have two teams right now. There's the New York Red Bulls, who actually operate out of New Jersey, and then there's a team, it's called NYFC right now, and they play at Yankee Stadium, and they're in the works of getting a stadium built, and I think it should be a couple of years. This is their first year in the MLS, and so they're an expansion team, but they fill out Yankee Stadium each game so far, and they have a very good following, and so does the New York Red Bulls, and so I think it's always a good thing to have as well over there on the East Coast.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It was, I think, was it the first top two or three sports franchises are soccer, like the Madrid, right? And
is it Liverpool or is it what's
Manchester
the Manchester United?
Yeah,
Are they the most popular one, Chris, worldwide?
Yeah, I think Real Madrid passed Manchester United as the most popular right now. It just works the most, I think, on Forbes' list. But I think those two are in the top three or top five of just most successful sports franchises.
Does soccer do a? Do you think soccer does a pretty good job of marketing its stars worldwide? Because that seems to me the key, and I've noticed that soccer certainly is more popular than ever on the worldwide level, and it's become a lot more popular in the United States. Just witness the number of people who were watching television when the U.S. women's team was playing in the World Cup final. I mean, do you think is there a need to really market your players that heavily, or do you think that the sport kind of sells itself?
I think that you always need to get your brand out there, and you need to market whenever you can. And I think that's for any sport. I think that helps it. And you look at basketball, you always have guys like LeBron and Kobe out there doing commercials, and I think it's huge, for soccer to have the Cristiano Ronaldos and Messi's and Wayne Rooney's and stuff getting out there doing commercials and really help moving the sport as well, because I think that's what really drives it, and especially in the American population.
Okay. Hey, Chris, stay with us. We're going to cut to another break. We're going to just ask you a couple more questions, and we'll let you go. Okay. So after, let's see, this second trivia question here. This one Belarusian gymnast helped turn women's gymnastics into the popular sport it is today. She's often referred to as the Sparrow of Minsk. Who is this gymnast? The first email with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Stay with us because you're listening to Sports Econ 101. Okay. All right.
It's not Olga Korbut because she's Russian, right? So it's got to be. You have an answer for that one, Chris? I'm stumped.
No answer.
I'm trying to think. Who is it? Nadia Comaneci? Is it Nadia Comaneci?
She's from Romania.
Oh, she's from Romania. That's right. This one's from Belarus.
Belarus.
Oh, Belarus is part of Russia.
Yeah, I was going to say Belarus.
But it used to be part of Russia. When she was there, it was part of Russia. Now it's an independent country.
Yeah, my mother-in-law got.
Your mother-in-law from Belarus?
No. She danced with the Belarus.
Oh.
With ballet Russe.
Your mother-in-law was a dancer?
She was a prima ballerina in New York.
Really?
Big time.
I did not know this.
Yeah, he was mother.
Geez, look at this, Chris. I've been working with this guy for 2 years, and I'm finding all these facts out. What's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of. Can you imagine the genetics on her side? Her dad played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a bit, and then she got her mom.
That's right. I remember you told me that. What an interesting story.
I wonder if she could just go, yeah, I think I'll run a marathon one day. Boom, does it. She did train.
Well, that's a workout. Yeah. Those ballerinas are amazing.
Yeah, speaking of workouts, do you ever wish that the soccer field was more like a football field? All that running?
A little bit more narrow, a little bit shorter. Just a little less running is always good.
Exactly.
Yeah, you guys must run about 6 miles a game, don't you?
Yeah, I think 6 to 7 miles a game.
And you're not just, and it's not like just a little jog. I mean, you're sprinting, and then you're running sideways, and you're running backwards. And
exactly.
people don't realize that the amount of shape, what kind of shape you got to be to play that sport.
Yeah. So, Chris, we're just going to ask you just a couple more questions. We'll let you go, okay?
Really appreciate you doing this, Chris. Thank you
so
very much.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. When we cut to the commercial break, we asked this trivia question. This one Belarusian gymnast helped turn women's gymnastics into the popular sport it is today. She's often referred to as the Sparrow of Minsk. Who is this gymnast?
Oh, I was going to say Olga Corbett, but
And you would be right.
Oh, okay.
From
All right.
1972.
I'm not going to
I remember
qualify
her.
then.
Yeah, very,
1972. That's
very
right.
good.
See, that the thing that kind of fooled me there for a second. You said Belarus. That Belarus today is a separate republic, but it used to be part of the Soviet
Part of
Union.
Russia.
Yeah, part of Russia. There you go.
So we have on the phone here Chris Wondolowski.
That's a great name, by the way.
I know, I like that.
Now you got a nickname, Chris. It's kind of a typical sports nickname. Everybody likes to call you Wando. Do your teammates call you that, or is that just us in the media that have grabbed that one?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I've been Wando since about first grade.
Yes.
And, I know my dad and everyone before. I think that's kind of been one of those things that have always stuck with.
I like it. It's
the Wando boy.
It's definitely, you know, if you were playing football or basketball, I'm sure that the TV marketing people would just have a field day with that one. But I got to ask you before we let you go. You know, we were talking about the popularity of soccer and the growth, and it seems the key is that even though it's still not a hugely popular sport on television, there are more kids playing youth leagues today than ever before. And if you've noticed since you were a kid, you know, 20, 30 years ago, how much more popular it is today, I would say, on the community level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's grown immensely, and I think it's continuing to grow in that sense where a lot of the youth and they're starting to understand the game. And I think that the coaches and the next generation are starting to teach the game and teach them, you know, so you get more parent coaching who know about the game, and I think that really helps as well.
Well, if you think about it, all you need is a soccer ball.
That's a great thing
Kids
about
can
this
take
sport,
off their
yeah.
T-shirts and make that a goal, right? I mean, you can almost play it anywhere.
I think that's why it's so popular,
I
don't you,
agree.
Chris? I mean, the simplicity of it, just having a ball that you can kick around. You don't have to have a glove, a bat, you know, a helmet, a hoop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's or a rink to skate on.
But you need a referee and a whistle.
Yeah, you do need a referee and a whistle. But you know, I got to ask you before we let you go: if you had somebody said, "Chris, I'm going to give you a choice of one of two opportunities here. You can play in the World Cup for a championship, or you can play in, say, the Premier League with you know, Manchester. What would you do if you were faced with a choice like that? What would you? What, World Cup? Well, by no question.
What?
World Cup would be no question.
Yeah, no question.
So it's kind of like the World Series or the Super Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, even I don't know. I think even bigger, just every 4 years, and yeah, it's you know, especially to reach a World Cup final, that'd be even bigger. And so last year in Brazil, it was pretty amazing, and it was a great time.
As long as they don't play in South Africa with those crazy people things. So I had to turn the sound down.
That had to drive the players crazy. How close is the American team to being, say, you know, winning the whole thing? I mean, you guys made a nice move the last time, but I mean, how close? Maybe two more times around, and maybe you'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, it's hard to say when exactly and put your finger on it, but I mean, I think that. I think we're going to be contenders, and you know, can be. You know, this year we're inches away from just moving on to the final 8, and you know, I think that that's a pretty big accomplishment. But I think that it's something that you kind of get hot at the right moment, and kind of need a couple bounces your way. It's almost a bit like an NCAA tournament where sometimes it's not always the number 1 seed that wins it and makes a run, but it's a team that's just kind of playing together and playing the best that can really make a deep run.
Hey, before we let you go, got to plug in for your team, the San Jose Earthquakes. Tell us a little bit about them. What kind of a season have you guys had, and what are your hopes for this year's postseason?
Yeah, I think that we've had been a pretty decent season. It's been a little ups and downs, but we've definitely started headed the right direction. We're on a 3-game winning streak right now, and actually tonight we have a big game against the LA Galaxy, and so a big rival. But right now we're tied for the last place in playoffs, but we have 9 games left, and 7 of them are home games, so that's always good, and we're going to make a run into the playoffs.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us, Chris. I wish you all the luck and success, and I think you've had a great career thus far, and you're a great spokesman for American soccer, and continued success to you, and we certainly hope to hear more about pro soccer as we move further into the 21st century. Thanks so much again for joining us.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good luck.
All right. And Chris is a good guy. You know, the thing about soccer, as I was mentioning, and he was talking about this, Edward, and you touched on it, is the universal appeal of the sport is it's easy to understand. and anybody can play it. Now, I'm not saying anybody can play it well, but anybody can play it. All you have to do is have a ball and another guy to kick the ball to, and you can.
I still don't understand offsides, but that's okay. Just like
Well, that's when
icing.
offsides is when you're coming into the attacking zone, and the first person who brings the ball across into the other team's zone has to be the person who has the ball. If it's one of your teammates, that's offsides.
And so the whole idea is so you don't keep somebody down there.
Exactly, and it's the same thing with hockey. Same idea as in hockey.
But a goalie can, if he kicks it far enough, he can score a goal.
It's possible. I mean, it's happened. It doesn't happen very often, but stranger things have happened in sports. That's the beauty of sports.
All right, so we're done with soccer for a bit?
Yes.
Okay, I want to get into this where I said from the beginning, I want to ask you, should RBIs count in MVP?
No question. I mean, Lou Gehrig, I believe, still holds the record to this day. I think he's knocked in 173 runs. But, you have to have your teammates get aboard, but you have to drive him in.
No, Hack Wilson.
Hey, I think you're right. I think it actually was Hack Wilson.
1930.
Yeah,
1996.
Very good knowledge there. Yeah, very good knowledge.
5'6" and about 200 pounds, little tank.
Yeah, little tank, and he had like size 7 shoes.
Yeah,
teeny little feet.
shoes. Yeah.
Very sad story about Hack Wilson. He died of alcoholism at the age of like 35 or something. Very sad.
Drinking a lot.
Very well. He was a two-fisted drinker, but no, I mean you got to. If you're driving in runs, that means you're scoring runs for you're driving in runs for your team. That's a big deal.
But okay, so
That's a big
I'm not
deal.
going to argue with you. I'm just going to bring up.
Right.
Okay, when you have Babe Ruth hitting before you,
Right.
well, of course he hit a lot of home runs. But
Right.
if you have decent hitters who
Sure.
are getting on base,
But you still got to drive them in.
True. But you could have a situation where guys got a lot better batting average.
Right. It doesn't.
And he just doesn't have that many because nobody gets on.
I'll be honest with you. I would rather, if I was a player, I'd rather have a high number of RBIs than batting average because that translates into runs, which translates into wins. Batting average,
That's a good point.
yeah, to me is important, but it's not as important as RBIs.
Well, that's true because a guy, unless you analyze every at bat, where a guy, let's say he's got bases loaded, and that's the time that he strikes out, versus the time that nobody's on and he hits the home run.
Yeah, there's so many stats today in baseball. To me, I mean, I think we've overdone it. This whole thing about WHIP and OPS. I mean, the keys are wins, losses, and ERA and strikeouts in pitching and in hitting, batting average, runs scored, RBIs. And what else?
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good point for the Cy Young is what happens when you have a pitcher who has a terrible win-loss record,
right?
But his RBI, his
ERA
is under 3.
Well, you still got to judge it. It's interesting you bring that up. I was thinking about Steve Carlton the other day. I don't know if maybe some of our listeners know this. Steve Carlton in 1972, I believe it was, when the Phillies won, I think 66 games that year, or maybe it was less. I think they won 61. He won 27 of those games on a bad team. On a team that was terrible. I think he won 27 and 10 on a team.
Cy Young on that?
I believe he did, but he pitched for the worst team, one of the worst teams in the history of baseball, with 27 games. That's amazing.
What they lose? Almost 100.
They lost about 100.
16.
Can you imagine if he played on a good team, how many games? He would have won 30 easily.
Well, that tells you that his team loved to score for him.
Yeah, when he got out there, I mean, that's the great thing of if you get a great pitcher, sometimes you get a guy who's, that guy, Madison Bumgarner right now with the Giants, every time he goes out there, he's been on a hot streak. He's like a losing streak stopper. He just stops any kind of a slump. Boom, like that. Right now he's been averaging 12 strikeouts a game. Teams are averaging 3 hits a game off this guy.
Now, see, that's just him.
That's just him.
That's just him. That has nothing to do with his defense.
But his defense has been backing him up. So, when you get a guy like that who's pitching that way, your team just feels, wow, we can't lose. Imagine what the Cardinals must have felt like. They were a good team anyway, but imagine what they must have felt like when Bob Gibson was out there with a 1.13 ERA. That means
the left fielder was falling asleep.
Yeah, well, he's only going to give up 1 run a game in 9 innings. And in those days, the guys pitched a full game, 26, 27 complete games.
I mean, I can just imagine, you get a pitcher who, I don't want to name anyone specific, but, who gives up a lot of hits,
right.
a decent amount of runs. And you get your fielders out there going, God, another one hit, in the gap.
I'll tell you an interesting story, though, about, and not get off on a tangent about pitching, but I've talked to a lot of players, and they tell me they love pitchers who work quickly because it keeps them on their toes. And a guy that, he wasn't a great pitcher, but if you look at his won-loss percentage, his ERA was probably close to 4, but he won a lot more than he lost because the players loved playing behind him, and they got back into the dugout quickly. That was Kirk Reeder of the Giants, the left-hander, who pitched for them from the late 90s into the well into the Barry Bonds era, and they made it to the World Series and the playoffs a bunch of times, and he was always a steady, regular guy.
Woody, right?
Woody, yeah, from St. Louis. You could always count on 5 or 6 innings. He'd get out there, and I asked him once about that. I said, "Why do you just, you never take any time? You never try to psych out the hitter?" He goes, "Why? I don't have much on my pitches anyway, so I might as well just throw it up there and let it hit it." And that's what they did. A lot of times they just teed off. But Kirk was a smart pitcher. He moved the ball around, and he relied on finesse. And I loved watching him pitch. I knew going to a game, the game was never going to last more than 2.5 hours.
Well, see, it makes it more exciting. Some of these pitchers. It just
I hate it when they step off the mound and they, fiddle with their cap and they, look at the sun and the fans are going, "Come on, pitch the ball, throw the ball."
And then throwing over to first base, a lot of times that's called by the coaches.
Yeah.
I wonder how often that's called by the coaches.
I don't think it actually is. I think it's up. I think it's at the discretion of pitchers. There's certain guys though that just don't do it. John Lieber, for instance, when he was pitching, the left-hander pitching for the A's, and now he's pitching with the Cubs, he had a terrible time. He would he just didn't hold runners. He never threw over to first, and then even though he's a left-hander, left-handers are much tougher to run on because they're facing first when they go into the set. But he got stolen on a lot, and his philosophy was, "I want to pitch. I don't care about the hitter. I'm not worried because I'm going to get the next guy out anyway." That's supreme confidence.
Yeah,
you better be confident.
You better back it up, though.
You better be able to back it up, but he did most of the time. So there you go. Yeah.
All right. I keep talking for just a little bit. We got one more minute before getting to the third one.
Well, that's good. Okay, you never have to worry about me filling time. I got to tell you a quick story. This is a good one. I mentioned Kirk Reeder. Going into the clubhouse after games, which I did many, many, many times for many years. That was part of my job. And one of the times I went in there to talk to a player, and the guy was talking, and he was, going off on a tangent about something. And there were all these writers and all these people standing around and listening. And all of a sudden, everybody turned around and they started running in the other direction of the other side of the clubhouse. And I'll tell you the guy's name. He was a catcher for the Giants. He no longer plays for him, A.J. Przinsky. And he goes, "Hey, Barry Bonds just walked into the clubhouse. Yo, go, go, go. You got to talk to him. Go, go." Everybody's like running like this mad herd. And Bonds is looking over to AJ, just shaking his head. "You jerk."
Yeah.
I wanted some peace and quiet, But that was AJ. AJ just loved to mess with people. That's why he didn't. That's why he was not a very popular guy on the Giants.
Yeah, I'm still upset about that White Sox Angels situation. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
We maybe talk about that for just a little bit here. Okay. So, maybe for the audience who doesn't remember, it was the called third strike, drop third strike.
That's right.
Was it called? Was it called? No, I don't know. Let's let him run.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the third final commercial break trivia question. Again, the theme is gymnastic nicknames. This gymnast captivated audiences with her high-flying release skills on the uneven bars and her tumbling ability on the floor exercise. She eventually gained the nickname Awesome Dawsome. Who is this gymnast? All right, stay with us. Send an email to edward@sportsecon101.com. The answer to that question. Don't touch that dial because SportsEcon101 will come back with some closing comments.
Do you actually get emails for these questions?
I used to have a phone number that I did, and I got some. It depends. The weird thing is, some places around the country they may be doing it at 4 p.m. on a Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I decided to do is ask.
Yeah, how can you figure out which one to answer first?
So it's just better to just ask.
Because a lot of people probably listen to this show on their smartphones or on their computers on iHeartRadio.
And a lot of people then realize they're listening to it late, so they're not even going to bother to answer. But when we were doing it, when I was doing the phone number, people were like, I was getting a lot from Las Vegas.
Were you really?
Yeah.
This is funny. Look at this.
Bruce was the first sportscaster to bring North Coast
Oh my
viewers
God.
on-the-scene coverage of San Francisco.
Wait, go back. That's somebody I look at. I know I recognize that guy.
Hang on a second. Let me figure out how to get back to the beginning.
No, I'm going to save this here. And then I'll look at that.
Hang on a second.
And where did you see this?
This is what it looks like.
Throughout the 1978 NFL football season, you'll see exclusive eyewitness news minicamp footage from not only the Oakland Coliseum here with the Raiders, but from Candlestick Park and the San Francisco 49ers as well. To keep up with all the sports in County
Camera live from background.
join me,
Oh.
It's funny because
what did she say?
I
I couldn't hear
sorry,
what she
go.
said.
Post television sports coverage here at Channel 3. He was the first sportscaster in this area who really got involved exclusively in sports, and he brought his great enthusiasm to his viewers through his concise, accurate, and entertaining reporting of North Coast sporting events.
Javi Diaz and Chris Tolbert are the Jacks' two main men in the backcourt. Tolbert from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, averages only about 6 points a game, but is coming along well as a passer and shooter.
Not so young.
Jimmy Walker should take up another sport. Well, that's the way most of the other drivers probably felt yesterday as Walker in the blue Chevrolet Nova took the lead in the first lap and never relinquished it. Ishii is still running good at the heel, but if the rains come, that could change quickly. One sportsman noted that the lower the river gets, the more people come out.
This is when I worked in Eureka. I did TV sports up there for 3 years. When I left there, unbeknownst to me, the news director put together this little tribute to me at the end of this on my last day and played it on the air. And so she made a copy of it. Years later, about a year ago, she sent me a copy of it. I thought I totally lost it. I had a copy of it years ago, but I lost it as I moved around. And she goes, I just found this in the garage. Would you like it? So I thought I'd post it because I thought it'd be chicken.
Sure.
I mean, look at the big hair.
I know, I remember that. Listen, we all had that.
Sportscaster to bring
The glasses and everything.
Yeah, glasses and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the 70s look.
Yeah, no
Came
question.
right in.
No
The big
question.
collars and stuff. And
God.
So what was Colette saying in the background? I couldn't.
She was going, Bruce, would you please turn that down? What are you doing? She's like in the little stairwell looking down at me. She goes, what are you doing? She could see I was recording it on my phone.
Yeah.
She goes, that's the ultimate in narcissism. Look, you're not only looking at yourself, but you're posting on Facebook.
No, it's not that.
My wife hates the fact that I post stuff on Facebook. She thinks I'm a narcissist.
Well, it depends what you post.
Well, mostly I post political stuff.
Yeah, I know.
My
That's
political
not being
opinions.
narcissistic.
Yeah.
And I don't even look at this as being narcissistic
No.
because it's fun.
It's
But
fun.
nostalgia is the way
Yeah.
I see it. That is so funny because sometimes, like when I'm in the car on a Saturday, I'll turn on to like Talk 910 when our show is on because I want to hear how it sounded.
Yeah, I listen to our show all the time.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
listen to it on the computer. I go to iHeartRadio and just find it, and boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does. It does sound. It sounds very good.
But Eva, she gets the same way.
Yeah.
Where it's
Your wife does the same thing. She gets pissed off.
Stop listening. I don't want to hear your.
I know.
I hear
so-
enough of your voice.
Yeah, I know. Wives love to. They know how to put us in our place.
I know.
They do. We can't get away with anything from these guys.
I mean, be one thing if I go to her and I say, Eva, kiss the royal ring.
Hi, this is Margaret Miles. I'm the branch manager of the Fairfax Library, and I'm calling for Bruce or Barbara McGowan. That's my mom. We've been receiving a lot of drop-off of material at our back door, and some of it has your name on it, so I'm thinking maybe it's coming from you. If this is the case, I'm calling to ask you to please not drop off any more material at our back door. None of this material is in the condition that we can put it in our book sale. So we're asking you to please dispose of it in some other way. Thanks very much. If you have any, okay, well, I've been dropping off all my books there.
Oh.
But I have plenty of books. I mean, that are in good shape. What's she talking about?
She's picking on you. That's what she's doing. Okay, ready? We just got a couple minutes to go.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. When we cut to the last commercial break, we asked this gymnastics nickname trivia contest question. This gymnast captivated audiences with her high-flying release skills on the uneven bars and her tumbling ability on the floor exercise. She eventually gained the nickname Awesome Dawson. Who is this gymnast?
Have no clue.
Dominique Dawes.
Don't even know who it was.
Remember the little black
No.
girl who?
Do not remember
No,
her.
she's very good, very cute,
Okay.
and very, very good. Okay, she was. I think that one wasn't too old. That was like in the last couple of years.
Oh, okay.
And that's the problem. I got to ask the ones from the 1920s.
That's okay. There you go.
Okay, so just really quickly, before we cut out, we were talking about the AJ Przinsky.
Oh, yeah. Good old AJ.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, it was a drop third strike.
This is in the playoff. I think the championship series, wasn't it? Against the Angels?
Against the Angels, yeah. To go into the World Series.
2005. 2005.
2005?
Yeah, that's when the White Sox won it all.
Okay.
Yeah. Broke that long string.
Oh, yeah. That's right. 'Cause
They hadn't won since 1917.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
why the Cubs was the
Yeah,
latest one.
Cubs the oldest one. 1908 for the Cubs.
The funny thing, in 04, You had the Boston Red Sox.
Boston Red Sox.
1918.
Yeah.
But
05 White Sox, 1917.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, no, everyone always talked about Boston. I guess maybe because Boston got in.
Well, Boston got in a lot.
But they
Yeah.
just kept losing.
Yeah, they just kept losing. I mean, they lost to the Cardinals. They lost to the Cardinals again. It's kind of nice, kind of neat that Boston has beaten the Cardinals now twice.
Yeah.
Out of the 3 World Series they've won recently.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
And anyway, so as I remember the situation, the umpire, he looked like he called third strike.
Yeah. That's right. He
And then
did.
tagged, and then somehow, I don't know.
The umpire blew it.
Yeah.
The umpire blew it. And umpires make mistakes. It's just terrible when they do it at a critical point of a big game. That's just like Don Denkinger in the '85 playoffs, who called a runner safe and he was out, and it cost the Cardinals the World Series.
That's right. That was okay for me because I was rooting for Kansas.
I was too.
Okay, so here's our thoughts for the day. Barry Switzer said, "Some people are born on third base and go through life thinking they hit a triple." Huh. And Irma Birnbach.
Barry Switzer said that. Huh?
Yeah, Barry Switzer, yeah. And Irma Bombeck said, "If a man watches 3 football games in a row, he should be declared legally dead." Okay.
I get the feeling that Irma Bombach was not a big football fan.
Probably not. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and giving away more free vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America!
So long.
All right. Another one bites the dust.
That's it. Okay,
All right,
so
my friend. I got to rush home to my
Yes.
lovely wife,
Okay.
my lovely bride.
You got Bob Myers for next week.
Bob Myers for next week.
And use your tie thing in good health.
Yeah. Thank you.